Welcome back, everybody. It's been almost 2 weeks since our last recorded episode. We're not going to beat around the bush too much here. We'll get into a couple of things we have to discuss before getting into the hockey slate, but there's a lot of games to cover. We want to be done before Stochastic starts as a nice seamless transition over to them. Matt, you had a very, very good holiday recess away from the sport of hockey, really, in general. Do you want to discuss that for a second before we get cracking?
Not really. Basketball's cool.
Cool.
But I haven't played a basketball slate since Christmas. So yeah, I just donkey shit. Yeah.
Is it really? You know what? Dominic the
Just a
Donkey
very
himself, Christmas moods here. Remember that Christmas song, Dominic the Donkey? I want to be.
I sing it all the time to myself, even now.
I would
Past
love to be
Christmas.
that donkey. Matt won $100,000 on Christmas on the NBA because the sun run is back, folks. Get used to it. The winter solstice came. It blessed Mr. Moods with a new sun run, which is all we really needed and more. In reality, I'm super happy
Is it
for
a
you.
sun run, or am I just sharp? Am I just the best DFS player at every sport? That's
You
the questions I think that need to be
You're the
explored.
most self-deprecating person in the world about your play, and now all of a sudden we get live for 1 fucking second, and you're like, "Actually, I'm the best at this. Fuck you. You suck now.
No,
Never mind. Fuck
Oh,
you."
why do you think I still play after 2.5 years of absolute misery? It's because I know I'm not terrible at this, but I just hadn't shown it. But believe it or not, since then, with a little bit of confidence, NHL's gone slightly better for the past few weeks. Been pretty solid on both the betting and the DFS front. So yeah, fun times are being had. But yeah, we have a lot of games to get to and 55 minutes to do so. So I say we hop right into things. We missed the noon game, obviously.
Yeah, who cares about that?
But there's a 4 o'clock game and then
first.
a big old night slate.
So I will share my screen first to go over the puck luck, the new shot model module, if you will. So, I don't know, I literally just clicked on like one of the first names that was recognizable, but you can click on your players. You can go over the bet. So each of them, which is much better, which is what we had before. This is going to be a better look at it, better way of doing it. I think better data, or I mean, probably about the same. But again, like if you're looking for any level of a bet, it's not saying like, Matt, maybe I'll say it in dumb terms. You can say it in smart terms. This isn't just saying like, oh, like every player, this is their projection, and then we're just like spreading it across of like the shot. Like every player profile is looked at distinctly. So like it's not like, oh, Adrian Kempe is 3.5 at this odds because he's 2.5 at this odds. Like it goes. I don't want to say like linearly because that's not even really accurately. Like every player is looked at under a different scope. But Matt, I'll let you do a little explanation as well. But in layman's terms, this is not like a regular distribution, maybe is the way. It's not like that. It is actually looking at players differently. Like Braden Point, for example, is much less likely to have 4 shots than Adrian Kempe, even though they're not unbelievably different to have, different, I guess, to have over 2.5. But again, like the way they play factors in. Matt, now I will shut up.
I'm going to assume, so I don't know. I haven't talked to Jay about the specifics of this model or this module, but I'm guessing his model is based somewhat in a Poisson distribution. Shout out to Mike. I doubt he watches, but sometimes he watches and comes in shouting random shit into the chat or texting. But basically the idea of something like this is that shots aren't normally distributed. If you have a 3 shot as your, whatever, you're not equally likely to get 1 shot as you are 5 shots, sort of around that. And it's because shots are a low frequency, event. There's mathematical logic behind it. So I'm not sure what exactly, Jay's model's doing, of course, but when Doug and I had a shot model that basically came up with all of these different, percentages and whatnot, that's, I think, sort of what you're getting at. The idea that you can't just say, well, certain distance away from the 2.5 line is equal to 1.5 and 3.5, whatever. If it's 20 percentage points or, 0.3 shots, like however you want to think of shots, this model is taking that into account a little bit better. So again, I haven't spent a ton of time like playing around with it. I will say though that for my general process, like I'm mostly betting into information and role changes. So something like this is certainly useful, but I do think it's like something that I like to do is spread out my bets across several different like avenues, be it a shot ladder, be it the point, goal, assist, things like that. That yes, if the player absolutely smashes, I have a lot more upside, but it's sort of like a way that I'm trying to spread out my risk across several different plays on a certain slate. Um, and this might be able to help you. Okay, well, I want to bet, 2 shots, 3 shots, 4 shots, maybe not 5 shots, or something like that, to just sort of help you get a feel for how likely these different events are. Um, and again, I'm probably not going to be too beholden to the exact percentages. I'm sure if you set something up to follow them very closely and bet every single edge across the board, you would find something. But I'm a DFS player first, so I'm mostly just like trying to find my guys, trying to find the role changes, and then sort of figuring out what to bet from there. And generally, it's going to be a pretty wide net that I cast because I'm betting on information that the sports books I don't think are incorporating with their. You can see, recent shot distributions. That's cool, but like I'm not really looking at that myself. I'm looking at the shot attempts. I'm looking at the rolls. Power play 2 guys up to power play 1, so on and so forth. But yeah, Jay making great changes to the site and looking forward to whatever he has cooking up next.
Okay, I think that was good. I just scanned through a few of them. I definitely will be using this, but again, and we mentioned this in the background, but like, while we're recording this, we're also looking at, like you're saying, kind of like, I do think it's like a model can help in a lot of ways because like there's certain players that profile better than their recent output. And just like looking at the raw numbers of like, oh, this player has hit in his last 5 games. And it's like, okay, that's great. But we've already missed those 5 games probably. Like now we're looking at the 6th game. What does that actually look like? Have the sports books, normally they factor that in pretty good. And I mean, they don't always. Like there's certain players like Dylan Holloway where they just continuously don't change his price, even though his role has changed, everything has changed, and they don't change it. Like there's a lot of different avenues, I guess, to be successful in sports betting. Finding the right ones for you is, I guess, the name of the game. But I do think this is another way of looking at things objectively, which is always important because we can, have our biases and whatnot. But yeah, we're, 8 minutes in, not too bad. Matt, you ready to pull up your stuff and go game by game?
Yeah. We have one showdown slate that I'll just the 4:00 games. I'm not even sure if you've thought at all about New Jersey at San Jose, but pretty clear that San Jose, or I almost said San Jose, pretty clear that New Jersey is a sizable favorite here. I would imagine Jack Hughes stuff looks pretty good across the board, but also the second line, Timo, Hischier, Nason, they've all been generating a lot of opportunities. They're all, pretty voluminous shooters. I would guess Nason is going to have the best odds of the bunch, and he doesn't look all that different from Nico Hischier. But Timo Meyer's been absolutely chucking.
I'm sorry.
And
these DK salaries
spot.
are not right.
Well, it's showdown, so these are
capital salaries.
Oh my
God, it's showdown. Holy crap. I didn't even think. Did you say that already?
No, I
was so focused on trying to get DraftKings Sportsbooks to like function that I didn't listen to half the words you said. Then I pulled it up and I'm like, Nason's 11K.
No.
That is wrong.
No, because nobody, and you especially don't care about showdown, so I wasn't really talking about showdown. But I was just sort of highlighting if you wanted to find, players. I would probably go to the second line. Jack Hughes, of course, is fine, but Timo, revenge spot, back in San Jose.
Yeah,
that's good. Luke Hughes has also been awesome.
Minus
I'm not sure what his prices are.
Timo, for points, I mean, it's like 2 for Hughes at plus 145, 2 for Brad at plus 200. Betting 1 point minus 300 for Jack Hughes just feels like you're, better off just not doing that. But yeah, Timo minus 140, Nason minus 125 for a point. Dougie minus 115, I thought was kind of interesting. He's still involved enough, but like
he's really been frozen out of the 5-on-5 scripts.
Yeah,
basically, Hughes and Pesci are being used as their number 1 pair, and Siegenthaler or Kovacevic just get all the defensive minutes. So like Dougie Hamilton's gotten like 16. He's basically Shane Gostisbehere right now, which is not great. So I think his odds are coming down. but it's not something that I really want to bet into.
Yeah,
On the San Jose side,
Mason shows up
go
as, I was gonna say, just like if they're looking for like what edges exist in the point market, Nathan does show up. Shots wise, I mean, I don't minus 155 for Hughes to have 4 seems like it's at best a stretch. I don't think there's really anything here that I'm like going crazy over. It's honestly, I don't
yeah,
even know.
I feel pretty good about Nason plus 125 for 3. Like that's maybe something I'll do,
Yeah,
but certainly not one of my stronger edges. But
no.
top 6 power play 1 for Nason, great matchup, of course. On the San Jose side, Celebrini gets Will Smith and Colin Graff as his line mates. Colin Graff, for the uninitiated, did play a bit last year for the team. He was I believe, Quinnipiac undrafted free agent who signed with them after their season ended. He was like the NCAA's best player. He was I think, junior at the time. He's, I think, played 1 game in the NHL this year with Celebrini, so like, whatever here. But you can see that in the NCAA, he was a shooter. He was really good. He compared favorably to Celebrini, like as far as shots and points per game last year. Just of course he was older because undrafted and all that. I don't think there's anything betting wise for him, but Celebrini, I don't think he gets worse because he has Will Smith and Colin Graff as his line mates. Like obviously they're not Granlund, Zetterlund, Toffoli, but like they're certainly offensively oriented players, and so I would not be afraid if you like Celebrini to go in on him again because these other lines are kind of woof. Kovalenko, Wenberg, Toffoli, Kostin, Granlund, Zetterlund. I guess Zetterlund would be a pick, but I would build around Celebrini if I had to go to San Jose here. Anything else you want to say about this first game before I pivot us over to the main slate?
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing for a craft on at least DraftKings for even a goal. Shot volume, like I'm saying, it's Celebrini is 7 per game over the last 5. It seems like he's trending in that direction of becoming a prolific rate shooter. It's a terrible matchup, but he seems at least of note. Other than that, I feel like everything's pretty nuke besides Nason. I'm not sure if I'm including it in my mix or not, but I might.
All right. So bring us into the main slate and just read the games real quick, just to get us grounded.
Game, I'm just going to go in order of what DraftKings Sportsbook has. It's Detroit at Winnipeg, Montreal at Colorado, Minnesota at Carolina, Boston at Toronto, the Blues on a back-to-back. I don't think anyone else. Oh, no. Montreal's also on a back-to-back. The Blues on a back-to-back at Columbus, Utah at the Dallas Stars, Tampa at the LA Kings, the worst team in the NHL at the Vegas Golden Knights. In case you're wondering who that is, it's Buffalo. Edmonton on a back-to-back at Seattle.
I don't think you needed to be explicit. I think everyone got it.
Okay, good. Nashville on a back-to-back at the Flames. That's it. That's it. So news and notes, we're going to go through obviously everything. Main thing, Matthews is back. We don't know on Victor Hedman if he's going to play or not still, to my knowledge.
I suspect he'll play. There was some pretty positive quotes coming out of the locker room after last game. So but yeah, keeping an eye on that for sure.
I think that's probably the main two. There's a couple of changes here or there we can discuss, but other than that, are you ready for Victor Olofsson and Jack Eichel to combine for 9 points against the Sabres? I sure am. I haven't really gone through game by game yet on like what might stand out. Do you want to start with Detroit, Winnipeg, or is there something else you had?
No, we'll start with Montreal, Colorado, because my sheet set up. I'm just getting the expected and actual fantasy points in there. So
I mean, looking at the slate, like I kind of showed briefly, like the raw shots for honestly the entire NHL. I just looking at the last 5, just kind of after the holidays, but I can pull up 10 as well. Cale Makar's been shooting a ton. He's been incredibly involved in the offense. 8.8 attempts per game. It over that mark, kind of standalone-ish above the rest. Even McKinnon, who's come back a bit, is only at 7.2 shot attempts, but it's a back-to-back Montreal team. I have to imagine Colorado is going to be pretty popular in DFS, probably, across the map. I'm looking at Cale Makar over 3.5 plus 110 doesn't seem terrible. I'm going to kind of shop that line, honestly. Sometimes you can find a better price, for guys of that nature on other books. Points aren't going to come as a surprise. Pretty much 1.5 across the board. Duran -182, Lehkonen -152, Ross Colton -105, Middlestat +120. Hasn't really done anything, but again, like feels like there's a bet to be had here. And again, in DFS, obviously you can play it. I just don't know how. On the other side, don't have a ton of interest in Montreal. I'm not saying you couldn't find a way to wriggle that in. I like it more than probably the field would like it, but I don't know if I like it enough to actually pull the trigger because back to back, what is it? What does your roster look like when you play Suzuki, Caulfield, Slafkovsky, and take those 3 positions away? Like, I don't know, man.
I mean, yeah, I wrote about this yesterday for the Friday slate, and of course, they wound up losing to Chicago, but it's been a huge turnaround for Montreal, and they put up 4.2 expected goals yesterday, and they lost. Like, whatever, it happens. And so this Montreal team is actually playing really well. The problem, maybe yesterday's problem was that Laine missed due to illness. We don't know whether he will draw back in on Saturday night. I kind of suspect he will. But yeah, tough spot for them. But other than that, they look really solid. Up and down the lineup, they're producing. It's a little bit tricky because it's not condensed. Basically Patrick Laine is doing a lot, and Cole Caulfield actually had a great game the other night, but up until last night, he was pretty frozen out of the offense. And that's by design because Laine basically came in and just took his job. So if Laine returns, it makes things a little bit tricky other than just playing Patrick Laine. But if Laine misses, I think Caulfield, Suzuki, Slafkovsky is absolutely in play here. Yes, it'll cost you 17.5K. Yes, they're going to probably eat this McKinnon, Rantanen, Makar matchup. But Colorado's been playing Makar without Devontae's a decent amount as of late. So, like, I don't know. Are you really afraid of Nathan McKinnon defensively with Cal DeHaan behind him? Like, I don't think so. And these other 3 lines are nothing to be afraid of whatsoever. Val Nichushkin will remain out of the lineup, who's one of their best defensive forwards. So Druin, Middlestat, Colton, O'Connor, Kelly, Kiviranta, and Anala, Parsonen, and Olison. Like, just I don't know. I like Montreal a decent amount here, but we just don't know about Laine. So not a ton we can do until that.
We got at least 3 revenge narrative spots too, where that I feel like we have to mention. Alex Newhook, anybody? Jonathan Drouin, anybody?
Okay.
Arturi Lehkonen, anybody?
Oh wow,
that's all that I'm coming off the top of my head with. But there could be one more that I'm missing. Just in case you're thinking, well, which one is your favorite? Last game, Makar, Drouin, McKinnon, Rantanen, and Lehkonen and Middlestat kind of split the power play one from what it looks
we saw practice, and Drouin this is how they did it in practice. So
I was gonna say it looked like Middlestat took it over. And Lehkonen. So it's funny how it's like, man, Lehkonen, top line, Drouin, top power. I honestly think I don't even hate Middlestat at +120, but I might just not do that. I think I almost like to like Cale Makar at +176 or whatever you can find it for 2 points. Like, that kind of seems like something I might consider, or even like Cale Makar assist if you can find it reasonably priced. I just think he's such the driver of this offense. I know it seems like it's McKinnon and it can be at times, but the puck flows through Cale Makar. He is unbelievably good. So I'm gonna probably try to bet through him.
That is an interesting difference between Makar +176 for 1.5 and McKinnon -142 for 1.5 points. So
I don't even think it's I'm not sure if it's even actually good. That line, the McKinnon line is bad. I will say that out loud. But the Makar line seems odd. So I guess gun to head, if you had to pick anybody not named Makar, McKinnon, Rantanen for a point, is there anyone you would feel comfortable picking? Again, -182 on Duran, -154 on Lehkonen, +120 on Middlestat.
I have no interest in Colorado. Montreal's really shaped up their game defensively. I know it's on the road in elevation in a tough spot, but I don't think that this is a spot that I want to be diving in on a team that has literally turned their season around from a defensive standpoint. Again, they lost to Chicago. People are going to see that and be like, oh, it's over. But like, they did not play a bad game in Chicago. So here's just a quick summary of like what they're it's tough because I can't really zoom in, but yeah, this is not it. It's here. The Montreal like expected goal differential, they bottomed out, and then basically over the last 10 games, which so happens to be their winning streak, where they've beaten a lot of really good teams, they're just crushing their opponents. So yeah, Colorado's fine, but like I don't think they're special. I certainly don't think they're a team that I want to target at, ownership and DFS and these juiced odds in the sports betting world. So I kind of just want to wait for Line. If Line's out, I want to bet on this top line. If Line's in, I might just take Line for like shots or a point or something, and move on. So that's my stance here.
I was really considering what about block shots, but I don't know. It just, I think you've gone too far. Let's get to the next game before we spend 3 hours on this slate. Winnipeg and Detroit. We have Detroit up on the screen right now, so we can start there. It is kind of like the perfect matchup of, if you would have asked me before the season, which team am I the lowest on that people are the highest on, and which team am I the highest on that people are the lowest on, I would have been the lowest on Detroit and the highest on Winnipeg. Coming into this matchup, the sportsbooks have finally caught up to my genius. It is minus 218 Winnipeg at home. Connor Hellebuyck in net. No real lineup changes for the Winnipeg Jets. Seems like they're going to be, the Winnipeg Jets that we know and love. I guess the only thing I'm going to say is that even with everything I'm saying right now, and I love Winnipeg, I kind of hate this game pretty much out loud. I think Detroit is just boring. They're not good. They're not bad. They're kind of bad, but they're boring. I just don't really know if I trust betting into this game, especially at these prices. But we'll run through everything. So we'll start here, Larkin with Veleno Raymond. They've been pretty porous in every respect. Minus 140 for Larkin for a point feels like something that I normally would say, look at these expected, look at these actuals, look at the price. I just don't know if you need to do that on Saturday. You could probably just have fun instead.
Yeah, something. Let's see. I want to see if it held in morning skate. But Winnipeg broke up their shutdown line last game. Okay, it looks like they're getting it back together based on the official team's tweet. But I don't. Yeah, there's. Okay, I don't see any actual tweets from Morning Skate. Sometimes these team accounts don't know what's going on. But on the Winnipeg side, we did see Nemestikov between Niederreiter and Iafallo last game, and then Lowry, Perfetti, Ehlers. Clearly, if they break up that shutdown line, like I actually wouldn't think Larkin gets the shutdown matchup basically, because who else are you going to target on Detroit? If it's not this Lowry, Niederreiter, Iafallo unit going out against him, I actually might have some interest in a Larkin point prop, because, like you said, I mean, his expected output has been awesome. He's just not getting the results, and so that tends to regress in the long term, even if it's a bad matchup or whatever. It's definitely priced in, to some extent in the market.
It's the answer to the question of this game for what the best bet is on the board, and I just actually clicking on that button, it just doesn't make me feel good. It is,
right.
I honestly don't know if there's anything else. I still love Velarde. I think if you're going to do something through Winnipeg, Velarde for a goal on FanDuel always stands out to me as a good bet. Ehlers is back. He's shooting enough to not. Yeah, it's not great. I don't know. Probably you don't need to do it, but that looks like an option at least if you're feeling frisky. Other than that, maybe Velarde for shots. I don't know. Is there anything on Winnipeg? The thing is, no one on Winnipeg is shooting at such an exorbitant rate that I feel good, especially when I'm saying, even though I hate Detroit, I don't actually think this is a fantastic matchup. Like Velarde, Ehlers for shots. I'm just not clicking Kyle Connor to get 4. I just don't see that happening. Like, he's not shooting enough to prohibit that price.
I have zero interest in any shot prop in this game. I could probably give you talked into some unders. If you really wanted an under. But
I mean, that
Like, I think Mark Scheifele under 2.5 -130 is fine, but
yeah.
my primary interest is Velarde point. Like you're saying, he's Kyle Connor's -285, Scheifele's -255, and Gabe Velarde's -165. You see his primary point rate. You see it long term. Like, he's no different than his line mates as far as
No, I know. Yeah.
just in general to get a point. Like, yeah, there's some matchups where the power play is better than 5-on-5 matchups. Like, I'm not sure how Detroit profiles in that front. Certainly some models might take that into account, but I don't think there should be such a dramatic difference between Kyle Connor and Gabe Velarde just to get 1 point. If you're talking upside, of course, Kyle Connor has way more upside in DFS. Like, I'm not playing Velarde as a one-off or whatever, but I'm fine betting into him as, -165 to get a point in this matchup.
Yeah, there's honestly, I think that Scheifele or honestly even Connor under on shots is like not stupid. But yeah, we can move on to a game that I mean I already kind of liked this game in some respect. I think with Austin Matthews coming in, it just gets a little bit more exciting. So yeah, let's start on the Boston side. The Marchand, Lindholm, Pastrnak, full line, full power play. Charlie McAvoy, Pavel Zacha, everything, the band's together. I immediately looked to Brad Marchand for a point -135. I think that's might end up being where I go. He's kind of the curious case of which version of Marchand are we getting over the course of a week or a week plus or whatever. But when he's playing with Pastrnak and Lindholm, I just think it's just this concerted effort that I like to see out of Boston. He's been involved enough to where it's not like, again, it's not the best in the world, not the worst in the world. I don't think this matchup is horrendous. It's not good. I mean, again, there's not many unbelievable matchups on this slate that I think you need to target. We already talked about San Jose's already gone. I don't think it's that bad. Like, I really don't think this is a matchup that I'm unbelievably scared of. So probably pencil me in for Marchand for a point. But what are you thinking here?
Yeah, the beefed up top line is
power play too
certainly
is different too.
Yeah, there's Wahlstrom, I think, for Frederick. Yeah, whatever.
Wallstrom, yeah. Well, I mean,
believe it or not, the Wahlstrom experiment is over. It's over. There's nothing left. All the meat's off that bone. So
damn. Yeah, but I'm hungry for Wahlstrom. Okay.
Oh, man. Well, then you can have fun betting him at +700 to score a goal, because that's pretty much all you're going to be able to bet. Yeah, right.
Okay, go on.
All right, so it's going to come in Boston through Marchand, Lindholm, Pastrnak. You could go Lindholm. He's +115 to get a point, but Marchand's -135 versus Pasta -205, and Marchand's basically doing the same things as Pasta. He's actually has a better primary point rate this season so far. So certainly would go Marchand. I was showing the team level matchups, and it's basically dead even. Though of course this is Toronto without Matthews for the vast majority of their 10-game sample here. And the actual goals are just non-existent. This game has the lowest pace besides Nashville, Calgary. So maybe Matthews can inject some life into that from a just goal scoring perspective. But you are sort of banking on talent taking over to turn these expected goals into real goals. So I don't mind it on Marchand, though I do respect Toronto a ton defensively. So I think I have more interest on this side with Matthews back in the fold.
Yeah, I mean, I just think the best bet probably on the board is going to be Marchand here, but let's obviously discuss the more interesting team again. -135 for a guy that's playing 20+ minutes a night, glued to David Pastrnak, and sadly their best center is at least intriguing. But on the other side, Matthews, Nyes, and Marner all back together. Tavares, Nylander, Pacioretty. You have the power play noted. Power play 2 does exist, but not all that important. It is an interesting spot. Matthews is actually only for 1 point, -215, which is not normal for him, but I'm not sure if you have any hesitation in going to him in his first game back.
Yeah, the injury, the re-aggravation, it's all pretty concerning. I think we're getting a bit of a discount, though, Pasta's -205, Matthews -215. Like, he's, priced with David Pastrnak. Yeah, he's at home, slight favorites. So maybe that's a discount on Matthews, but I don't know. I don't feel great about it. I certainly don't feel good about it in DFS at 9,800. At this point, I kind of just want to see it first.
Yeah.
Because when he was in the lineup, he was really good. And like, so it makes me think that the injury flare up is not like last year where it hurt his fantasy output. But it's certainly scary to go into a 60 game, matchup saying, well, halfway through this game, there's probably like a 5-10% chance that he just leaves because he's not right. Certainly all the quotes around it are like, yeah, we hope he's full health by playoffs. And then 2 days later, he's back in the lineup. It's like, well, this is clearly a guy who's going through something. And I think it'll be a real struggle to, prove it to me without him just going nuts for like a week. And trust me, I have enough Austin Matthews and Best Puck and whatever the fuck else to I traded McKinnon for Matthews in 2 different leagues this offseason. Like I have enough exposure to Austin Matthews that I don't need to be betting on him and playing him in DFS to feel great about his resurgence. So I'm not that interested in Toronto.
No, I mean, it's tough to click on a point prop and feel good about it when they're kind of to the point they're at in a game that, like you said, like, yeah, it doesn't look great. Maybe some life's injected into it. I just think that the Marchand price is actually the best. Shot wise, I don't know what you click on and feel good here. So I think I'm just not going to click on Matthews in his first game back. Tentatively interested in Pastrnak, but again, probably not going to click on it. I think I'm probably just moving on, and I might tack on Pastrnak with Marchand for a point. Get plus 130 on those two together. Doesn't feel like the absolute stone worst thing in the entire world, but I don't know. Well, we can move on from this game. Again, I think I like it in DFS more than Colorado to just go with the Toronto side, just because I think Colorado is going to be glommed onto a lot more and it's a lot harder to afford. But I might not play either and end up with a more mid lineup of nonsense. So what game's next? Because there's a couple more bad ones and a couple more good ones.
Minnesota, Carolina. Minnesota's looking pretty weak defensively. I'm just trying to figure out where they got torched by Nashville in their win because they did pretty well against Washington the other night. Just looking at the last few games for Minnesota.
Yeah.
And Ottawa took them to the cleaners too. The main thing that stands out to me with Minnesota actually looking like a positive matchup is that they don't have Jared Spurgeon. So like an actual, difference maker on their blue line being out is certainly something that would support the idea that Carolina's, maybe better than meets the eye. But let's see here. So starting on the Minnesota front, obviously with no Spurgeon, we have Faber as the power play one guy. Maybe gives more minutes like a Bogosian or whatever. But no Kaprizov as well. That was also confirmed. So Boldy, Rossi, Zuccarello, Johansson, Eriksson, Hartman. It's just no interest in the Minnesota side. But if this game gets more fun, then I certainly would have some interest in the Carolina front. So any thoughts on this matchup?
I mean, the pricing is interesting enough to take a look at, but even if you're saying to yourself, like, Marco Rossi minus 110 for a point, I don't know, like a shot prop, I feel like you're probably struggling to find anything on either side that's all that enticing. I just think that the price on Carolina for across the board in DFS in betting is just better because I think the matchup is actually better than meets the eye. So let's get over here. You got the lineup up. That's not what they ran last game, but Drury's back. They did change the lines in practice a little bit. So I do think you're actually correct. It's especially
I checked it this morning.
Yeah, and then you get like Aho Jarvis, kind of as your 2 and 2. I could probably be convinced either way on which two some I'd rather play together, but I mean it's like Aho Jarvis is probably the answer to the riddle, and Jarvis minus 165 for a point also might end up being my other answer to the other riddle of what I'm betting. But I'll let you kind of take it from here, and then thoughts on Carolina 3. If Carolina 3 is Martinique, Stalin, Carrier, I just don't think. I mean, again, like people, I guess you're saying like I'm playing Colorado, so I'm going to play this, and I don't play that way normally. So
I've never played Carolina 3. Like I understand they get a reasonable amount of minutes, and that they all sort of do things from a shot perspective that makes them, not total zeros. But you're just so unlikely to get like 50 points from this 3-man stack that, like, yeah, they're only 7,600. If they get you 15 points, like, that might help you with, Colorado goes absolutely hog wild, but it's just not what it's not how I build. I certainly want to build for more upside, I think, than like an empty net bailout where I just get 2 empty netters and that somehow sort of is a difference maker. I would be strongly encouraging people to consider Carolina, though, at these prices. I mean, the top line is 16.5K, Rossovich, Aho, and Jarvis. Second line is 15.6. You can leave off Kokanami, of course. Like an Aho, Svechnikov, Nachos stack. You could even just play Aho, Jarvis, and whoever, Nachos or Svechnikov. That's barely going to cost, like, it's not going to cost you 20K. These guys were 21, 22K combined when Nachos was on his absolute torpedo run. And they're priced down in a matchup that people are not going to see much in. I think I like Aho the most from like a just shot prop standpoint. I believe he has the longest, or he has the shortest odds on the team, like shots wise, so like whatever. But in DFS, I'm very, very interested in Aho, Jarvis at these prices, and mixing in the Svechnikov, Nachos makes a lot of sense. This Ty Smith guy, he has been in the NHL for a while. He was a first rounder in New Jersey, flamed out, went to Pittsburgh, didn't really do much, and Carolina apparently kept him in the system, and he's basically just Shane Gostisbehere now without shooting. And well, if Shane Gostisbehere's not shooting, what is he doing? He's passing to Aho, Jarvis, Svechnikov, Nachos to do the shooting. So I really like getting 3 of these guys, 2 of these guys, maybe even all 4 of these forwards on the top power play into my lineups on Saturday, because I do feel pretty good about this spot against the Spurgeon-less Minnesota team. It's also Kaprizov-less, for offensive punch.
So over the last 5, could you name the top 3 rate shooters for Carolina?
It's Brent Burns. Is it Jake Slavin?
Number 2.
And I'm going to go Aho, but I'm not sure.
Aho is 4.
Okay.
After noted, who was the player that got taken off the power play too? If you can answer that
Sean
question,
Walker?
You have Sean Walker. I am like,
yeah.
So you look at Carolina and you say, I want to bet a shot prop tonight. It seems like a good matchup. You don't have to. Like, no one's going to make you. And if someone is making you, please comment, I need help. Because it sounds like you're being held at gunpoint. Just bet on, like, I know the odds are enticing, like everyone's for 3 shots. And it's like, oh my God, Aho, Svechnikov, Jarvis. And Burns is shooting like 8 shot attempts per game. One game really, really stands out above the rest. That's why. But just like none of them are standing out in any capacity. None of them have this unbelievable historic rates outside of maybe Svechnikov, who just isn't shooting, which is shocking because he's playing with Nachos, who you would assume would pass to him and he could shoot, but it's not happening. Like, I think you could bet any of them for a point and feel really good about it. I personally am leaning towards Seth Jarvis. I just think he's one of the more dynamic players in the league, and at -165 for his role, glued to Aho, I just feel like that's a minor misprice comparatively to other things that feel pretty well cooked in. Yeah, that's my thoughts here.
All right. Aho's -270, Jarvis -165. So yeah, that certainly makes sense.
And Aho is more likely. Certainly, I get it. Like on the power play, I know that Aho is more likely to touch the puck than Jarvis. But like, I think if they had their preference, they would find Jarvis in the slot as much as possible to shoot on the power play. It just doesn't always happen, of course. Like they want him to be in the Reinhart role of last year, I believe, but like it's hard to set that up.
Speaking of, I believe, I wrote about it in my newsletter for Friday's slate, but St. Louis +700 to make the playoffs. I placed a bet on that. I think the St. Louis team is really good. They're playing Columbus.
God. Another one of those teams that I feel like we were both like not as low on as the public going into the season. I remember like pretty candidly being like, this might be the best team that's going to miss the playoffs again. And like, that was what happened last year. Like, could they find a way in? And I mean, they're just playing. I'm trying to think of like a good, easy, again, like they're not Carolina, I don't want to say they're Carolina because they're not really shooting, but like defensively, they're playing at a level. I mean, they're kind of like LA Kings, like, and like people are kind of, again, like we're low on the LA Kings. They're kind of playing like them right now. Like they're so good defensively. At this point, I think I have to fade the teams going against them no matter what. And
Yep.
yeah, we'll get into it. It's a back-to-back
They
as well.
are.
It doesn't feel good,
Yep.
but yeah.
They're on a back-to-back. They're possibly without Justin Falk. He was sort of a question mark yesterday and wound up not playing. Not sure if he traveled with the team. Probably we'll get more about that in a few hours here. But yeah, even then, Columbus at home, the Donkeys have absolutely been just doing leaping and roaring to great effect with this Werenski run that he's on and the top line, Voronkov, Monahan, Marchenko. But I'm here to say that St. Louis is not a team to be messed with. Once again, I am going down with the ship of fading Columbus. So if you want to talk about why Columbus is so great, I think in 20 minutes or about 15 minutes here, Stochastic will go live so you can go talk to them about Columbus. But on the St. Louis front, we did see new revamped power plays. But obviously, if Justin Falk were to return, he would just replace Perunovic. But basically, it's just line one, which is Saad, Thomas, Buchnevich with Fowler, Bolduc, and Holloway, Shen, Kyrou, Neighbors, Perunovic. Clearly not great, but even then, Dylan Holloway sub 4K against Columbus. With Jordan Kyrou as his line mate and power play mate, I'm still all aboard the Holloway train. They basically split these units down the middle. It's stupid, but I don't really care. It's against Columbus, and let's see. Has the line been made minus money for shots on goal for Dylan Holloway to get 3? Place your bets now. Let's see.
I doubt it, but I'm not looking at it.
Plus 110. Plus 110 once again.
Yeah, I mean, that's like if you're betting on St. Louis, the bet's right there for you. Have at it. I don't think there's anything that's even going to be all that close to meeting what I believe that should be as far as an over on the St. Louis Blues. But old Donnie Mitchell here is going to give you an under, Matt. He's going to give you an under. Are you ready for this?
Oh boy, I'm scared.
All right, hold on. Where is it? Unless if he's not listed.
Oh no!
My God! Actually, it's a little bit worse than I thought. I was going to say Adam Bentilli under a point, but it's minus 212. I don't know if you have to do that. Actually, that seems that seems worse than I thought. But he's with Aston Reese and Olivier.
Okay, did they run practice or lines this morning?
New line combinations up front that Everson said we may see tonight are JVR with Sillinger and Kent Johnson, Fantilli centering Aston Reese and Matthew Olivier.
Okay.
So darn, I was gonna say still minus 212 feels. So
okay.
JVR Everson, for an Olivier swap basically there.
Evanson said maybe 11-7. So it's a total cluster.
Honestly, I truly think if you have balls under a point for Werenski is actually plus 170 is that's the time to jump on a bet. Werenski's been unbelievable. I know this matchup is very bad. As I said, it's a back-to-back for the Blues. I think the pace will be very slow. I mean, Marchenko plus 155 too on that under. I could easily be convinced to take an under here on one of these guys. Just which one? I don't know. It might be unnecessary. Just don't do it in a parlay. I think on paper as a straight bet, it does make a lot of sense.
Yeah, and speaking of donkeys, I just beg you people to not play Cam Fowler. It's just so bad. It's just the dude is Ryan Suter with a power play job. And you're yep, 3,500. I'm all in, baby. He was 30% once again last night. He scored twice in the fucking Winter Classic because he took 2 floaters from the blue line. It happens. But he doesn't do anything. He's not going to do anything. And you're more likely to 1.3 than you are to get a 10 from him. I don't know. I don't see it. There's nothing statistically that supports Cam Fowler, but it makes, Brandon Saad pretty relevant if he's 2,700 on a power play unit with Thomas and Fowler who don't shoot. I don't know. It's certainly interesting to chase that hat trick from last night in a revenge spot, by the way, in Columbus for Brandon Saad. So some value there if you want it in DFS. Otherwise, Dylan Holloway, nothing else that I really want to talk about. So
I'm fine with just taking Holloway over on shots. And again, if you want to play, I mean, again, Marchenko plus 155, Werenski plus 170 under a point. Matt, would you give a what's it called, a stamp on either of those?
I wish I could parlay, like I wish I could same game parlay the unders like we could like last year or whatever. I would not just do it straight up because that line's been really good and like I
no, it has
really
it's just
like I don't want to say they can't get just 1 point because like it's not really what I'm trying to figure out if they're gonna get shut out tonight. Right. Like I don't know.
You're so right that I'm actually going to go to FanDuel right now and look if you can do it over there because that might be interesting if you could do the under and combine. You could just leave Werenski out of it even, but like just do like Marchenko, Monahan, Voronkov under. I'm guessing Werenski plays a lot of his run with those guys. I don't want to take too long here. Again, if you want to get your Columbus
98% of his minutes are with that top line,
Yeah, so again, whatever. You could honestly do all 4 of them for all I care. And it might be a little bit recency bias with the shutout, that just happened against Ottawa. But I truly think, like we're saying, like this is a bet on St. Louis being better than people think. The sportsbooks clearly don't, and they've proven they are. So we'll keep it moving, though. Do you have the Utahians and the Dallas Stars?
Yep. Dallas looks pretty good. Utah also looks pretty decent. Dallas,
this game looks good.
Yeah. So Dallas is not allowing a ton defensively, but they are, it's average. And so you look at the overall pace, and it's actually quite good for the slate because there's just not a ton of great spots to look at. So, Utah Dallas might be your game stack of the night here. But yeah, let's talk about Utah.
Yeah. I mean, this was one of the games that I said was like, oh, there's good games coming. Like this is definitely one of them. And I think in DFS is the best way to play it. Like there might be a bet here worth looking at, but I truly think this is like where you want to go in DFS. Dallas was a team that I was petrified to play against. I'm not anymore. I can be convinced to play. I mean, there's 2 options on Utah as you're showing: the Cooley, Gunther, the Keller, Schmaltz, and they're priced very evenly. I'm really just like not sure if I want to say like with 100% certainty I'm here or there. It is probably Cooley, Gunther, and Sergachev as like how I would do it. But Sergachev's price is a little bit concerning. It's kind of to the point where it makes it pretty difficult. I think I'm still in on it though. I would try to find a way. So Cooley's just been incredibly good. I think that really hasn't been brought to light quite enough yet. Both prices stand out as a bet as well for a point, Cooley and Gunther. I think I'm starting to just lean towards Cooley being more involved on the power play from touching the puck perspective. They want to set up Gunther to shoot. It's not always there, but Cooley does actually have the puck quite a bit. So I'm starting to think maybe I could go to Cooley over Gunther if you're just betting one of them straight up. They're the same price. Actually, minus 120, minus 110, but whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Logan Cooley is talented. I'm not sure that this is anything beyond just a shooting percentage bender for him, like on ice wise and whatever else, like a PDO bender for Logan Cooley. His price is really high up at almost 5K for DFS. Like I would just rather bet on Dylan Gunther as like a one-off. And that means shot props too. Like I think if Michelli misses this game, which Liam O'Brien replaced him due to the flu last game, if he misses again, Barrett Hayton will be on the second power play unit. And yes, the last 10 games have been miserable for Hayton. We look at the season, and it's not that bad. I mean, he's generating like pretty much league average, like DK point rate per 60 minutes. He's getting top line minutes with Keller, Schmaltz, and he is going to be second power play if Michelli misses. Could even stay there if not. I mean, Carconi's been in and out of the lineup, so it's not like Hayton's like clearly behind Carconi on the power play 2 pecking chart. But just that newfound power play role makes me think that maybe there's a little bit to just playing the first line fully stacked. It's 14K. You can play almost any line on the slate. And yeah, you're betting on Hayton, becoming something he's not been in the last 10 games. but he's been a perfectly decent player, for a large stretch of time in the NHL, and he's 3,500. So would be a good way to sort of complete the Keller Schmaltz stack while saving a bit of money, which I like.
Yeah. Yeah, we can move over to the other side of the equation. Dallas. Dallas is probably the team that is more. It's not even that it's more difficult to stack, because in reality, it's kind of the same situation we just saw in Utah. I just hate playing Jamie Benn, but in reality, he's been great. And you could play Ben and Johnson. You could play Robertson and Hintz. Miro. It really is almost the same freaking thing on the other side. Rupe Hintz has been better as of late. He's been shooting more. He's been just it kind of feels like he's getting back to normal. I don't really know why there was kind of a blip in the radar with him. It's not shooting to a rate that, well, the shots are getting on net. He's getting like 95% of shots or 75% of shots on net. Not shooting as much, I guess, volume wise, but I'm leaning towards, I guess, at the end of the day in DFS, Ben Johnston and Heiskanen. I could even throw in Matt Duchene for hating myself.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
Yeah, the other day against Buffalo, Rupe Hintz was 3.5 under minus 135, and now he's under 2.5 minus 135. So there goes that idea. I certainly just like Gunther over shots, plus 115 as like my top bet here. But Jason Robertson's been pretty decent. He's not been the player that he was 2 years ago, but he's at least still a decent player. He's 5,700. He's priced reasonably, 2.5 minus 120. Like you're not really getting much better than that, I don't think, on Jason Robertson playing the way he is right now. So I think it's pretty simple. You just stick to the best players on these two teams, and that's pretty much all you got to do. So
I don't hate Robertson for shots either, really. I mean, he's shooting the minus 165 for a point is actually maybe just where I end up here for Robertson. That's
I honestly,
everything.
I think my approach, I might just bet 3 to 6 on both Robertson and Gunther shots, and just maybe they both hit, but maybe just one of them takes over power plays or whatnot, because I think both of their lines are pretty soft on the shot prop front.
Yeah, those are the shots. I don't think it's really up. I mean, you could take a look at Keller. What is Jamie Benn too? I mean, Ben is shooting like.
Yeah, the thing with Jamie Benn is that he's not going to chuck from the differentiator that I like is, okay, if I'm watching a player skate into the zone and he needs a line change, is he going to just shoot from 45 feet out? And the answer with Jamie Benn is clearly no. He's going to chip it into the corner and try and hit someone or whatever. Guys like Robertson, Gunther, like they're going to get that shot. And so that's just sort of like a cheap way to think about it. But like, it's what iCourse is supposed to represent. It's just your shootiness. And Jamie Benn's always been a guy who gets set up by his teammates, i.e. Wyatt Johnston. So if you're going to bet on Jamie Benn to get shots, like just bet on his line to score, bet on his line in DFS or whatever, because that's just sort of how he gets there personally.
Puck Luck does like Gunther for the plus 110 price. As it's plus 115. I mean, my mistake. Yeah. So even 5 points better for you there. Yeah, I like both of those. I think you can include both of them in your mix. Like this is the game I think you could go with some shots, and the offense is decently concentrated to funnel through. Even though there's a lot of like options or like a couple different stacks, like they still want certain players with the puck on their stick for shooting, and these are the guys. So not too difficult.
And also the puck luck thing on Gunther, the 4+ is actually an edge in that model too. The 5 and 6 are not edges. I'll just bet into them because whatever, I'm a degen donkey and don't understand probability distributions, but like I also like the upside. So so I'll probably spread it out, across all 4 of those ranges. But yeah, good call there for puck luck.
Brave of you to admit. We have 4 games left and we're 3 minutes left in time. So too much time. Which game are we going to first? Oh, there's one actually stand out. It's probably Tampa and LA.
Yep.
A game that I don't have a ton of interest in. Denzel is in. I know there was some like concern about him for like a game ago. He ended up playing. He's fine. LA is very good. Wait, what?
I've got bad news. I think Nikita Kucherov is broken.
Yeah,
The
that's
team
concerning.
the team has just been really, really poor since he got. I mean, it's only been a few games since he got hurt, and I don't even think he missed the game, but like, yeah, he's getting his points, but they're not generating anything with him on the ice, and without him on the ice, it's far worse. And LA's the absolute nut low matchup. I don't think people are going to go here or anything, but it is worth
No.
keeping in mind. Tampa disappointed against San Jose. That wasn't that hard to see coming because their numbers have been kind of spiraling up until that point. And clearly, Tampa is always going to be a one-line team, so the team-wide stuff isn't quite as relevant for them. But like the team itself is not looking as good as they were for the first few months of the year, where they were, a legitimate cup contender, sort of the way they were playing and the way Kucherov was playing and facilitating the offense. It's a lot thinner of a bet, right now. And maybe that changes, but at least point in time, that's sort of my stance on it. And I actually do kind of like LA in the spot. So talk to me about.
No, yeah, I think, yeah, again, I don't think there's any bet on the board for Tampa that makes me feel good. We can just get over to LA. There's no sense in wasting people's time.
We're expecting Hedman in. If he's out, Darren Radish will be power play 3,500 for DFS. Might be worth a look, especially if you consider the Cam Fowlers of the world. Darren Radish is better than Cam Fowler.
Are you going to get right on Darren Radish first goal?
Oh man, I cannot wait. If that news comes across, I am at snap betting Darren Radish first goal.
12-1 to score, 45-1 to first goal.
Oh yeah, it's time to get right.
Goodbye, Matt's money. Let's get over to LA, as you said. It's Turcotte, Kopitar, Kempe, Laferriere, Danault, Fiala, Clark back on the top power play. And Byfield as kind of the guy that rounds it out. But really, at the end of the day, I think we forget is that like LA does have three lines that can play and play well. We don't know what the fourth line will be at all. So whatever you have is a guess. They had two fourth lines, and then they kind of said like, we don't know which one's going to play. Ooh, and it's like, that seems like a weird way to put it, but sure.
Breaking news, Andre Lee has been sent back. So that means Trevor Moore is likely to return, which could throw these lines into array.
Yeah, that would legitimately put it. I mean, Kaliev was also potentially back, but he won't play. I mean, he might be active, but will he play?
He could play. If they wanted him to play, he could play, but it's just they don't want him to play.
Send him to Buffalo. Sad. At least let him be sad in a worse place than he is in a good place.
So I'm going to guess for now it's Trevor Moore, and they stick 11-7. But if they do not, it would be Trevor Lewis because I believe he's good to go as well. Off of injury.
I think it brings me no joy to report that Alex Laferriere plus 120 over 2.5 shots is maybe where I end up here.
Incredible. It's incredible. He's going to correlate with Fiala at 5-on-5 and the power play because Fiala plays both power play units. So it's not the first unit, but like Laferriere has been awesome. His rates are incredible. He was a player that we spotlighted prior to the year, throughout last year too. But as a guy who actually has it, especially for fantasy, for betting shot prop purposes, like he is absolutely a dude. So betting on Alex Laferriere.
You want to know?
I like a lot.
You want to know who Puck has as the best bet for shots in this game at their price by a lot?
I really hope it's not Brent Clark.
I very, very much hate to say it's Brent Clark. He is minus 115 for 2 shots.
That is ridiculous. The problem with Brent Clark is with this 11-7 setup is that they just substitute him out for long stretches of 5-on-5 at a time. So the power play isn't enough to sustain his rates. If they go back to a 12-6 setup though, then Brent Clark, it's night and day for him. So that is actually a huge thing to keep an eye on.
I think that's
Mix in Victor Hedman. At 8:45, I'm going to be eating my popcorn, waiting for some defensive news to come out of LA.
It's
fun
so
Saturday night.
It's like the thing that really frustrates me about it is it feels like everything's good in LA and they just sometimes can't score goals. And it's like, oh, how many minutes did Clark get? And it's like,
can we
8 at 5-on-5? And it's like, oh, okay, great. That's fantastic news.
I haven't written this anywhere, but I was looking at it the other day and I was just gawking. Joel Edmondson, his primary point rate per 60 minutes, 1.4. look at his career. Like, it's an index, so it's not like per minute that's what he's getting, but like in his career, he's basically half of a normal defenseman primary point rate
I
because he's
wonder
Joel
why.
Edmondson. And then it's like, yeah, you look at this, and it's like, oh, he's 40% better than like the average defenseman at primary points. It's like, oh, because he exists in the vortex of Brant Clark. Like that is
I
the
know,
only
it's-
reason this dude is doing anything. Like it's
and
just
they
incredible. I love Brant Clark.
like I know he like that's what's so frustrating is like that price is unbelievable. Like the profile on this guy is like, I don't know what level you want to get to exactly, but it's a guy that should unequivocally be for 2.5 every single night for shots as a defenseman. And it's 1.5 at almost even money. And it's just like, you can't bet it right now at the 11-7 they're doing because they just will not give him run at 5-on-5. And in reality, they would probably prefer him not shooting as much on the power play. So it's like, how do you possibly click the button? End of the day, I'm going to keep an eye on that. Laferriere for shots and point. I think you could go with Laferriere or Fiala. I just tend to go with Fiala because he exists on the power play in totality, and he's minus 135 for a point. So
love all those.
We've officially gone over by a substantial margin. Where are we going next? We're going to Nashville.
Going Nashville, Calgary. This one will be pretty quick because Nashville on a back-to-back. I don't I get it. The expecteds are there for Nashville and whatever else, but my God, the field is all over Nashville. They were 23% owned again last night. Like this top line plus the OC just gets all the ownership. I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. This team sucks. Like they just don't score like I hope they would coming into the year. And I'm not going to bet on them changing their stripes, halfway through our professional hockey season. So, this is how they lined up. There could be a flop of Pianist Rosa and Evangelista, but Fedor Svechkov replaced Tommy Novak. Svechkov looks fine, decent prospect profile, but you don't need a minimum salary punt on this slate. I don't think. And yeah, we should get Annunen in net for Nashville, given Saros played last night. And the top line, Forsberg's been awesome. Stamkos has been fine. And Marchessault is actually their best fantasy point producer per game over the last 10. So that line costs you $19K. I believe they will be pretty considerably owned. And yeah, that's about all I have to say. Like, yes, I'm saying it. I do kind of respect Calgary in the specific matchup because of how much I despise this Nashville side.
Well, in a DFS perspective, I think Nashville's unplayable because they're going to be the donkey chalk of the night on a back-to-back. The only thing maybe keeping people away is the back-to-back. Maybe it's stuffed in both. I don't know. But I think they're going to be absolutely chalked. I do think in the betting market, you could take Roman Josi for a point minus 145 and be okay. I think that's fine. I think you could take Marchessault at minus 150 and be okay. I think you could take Forsberg at minus 175 and be okay. Whatever you want there, it's fine. On the other side, I find it much more difficult to find something that I truly love. And I actually think that like, even though we're saying like Nashville, terrible DFS play, they're not that bad. They're good defensively. Just there's nothing inspiring about this Flames team to me that makes me think like, oh, here's the easy standout. Like Kadri is clearly their best player in all facets, and I don't know. I mean, and Huberto helps him. Like I do think that there's at least something to that of like I could maybe get, but like if you're taking Kadri minus 175 for a point over Forsberg minus 175 for a point, I feel like you've just kind of lost the plot on what you're doing, and you're trying to like, I don't know. I just wouldn't do that.
Yeah. Just going to drag over for Calgary the shot module thing on Coronado. It doesn't quite have an edge on like the actual projection, but I just wanted to showcase the shot distribution because in his last 5, Coronado has games of 6, 5, and 6 shots. So that's pretty solid. Plus 112 based on the model. He's even money on the books to go over 2.5. So Coronado's a guy that I think I'll be mixing in. I love his line with Backlund and Coleman. They've been playing very good hockey, and Coronado gets the power play 1 gig as well. So just all the more reason to like Coronado here.
Coronado plus money for the 3 shots on goal, I think is absolutely in play. Click that button if you'd like. I would actually shop it though, because sometimes guys like that get just completely forgotten in other books. I already looked at FanDuel. By the way, FanDuel, Marchenko is minus 178 for a point. So different over there. So if you like Marchenko, unlike me, I'd go over there. But yeah, so Coronado, really, really good call because his rates are very good.
Yeah. All right. So 2 more games. Buffalo, Vegas. We got Buffalo. Doesn't I should say Vegas has been a rather solid team all year, defensively. But this Buffalo side, defensive lapses aside, with a lead, has been playing very fine offensively. They're getting Jack Quinn, like actual Jack Quinn, to play hockey. Jason Zucker's going, bonanza mode. Like, there's actually a lot to like, I think, in this matchup, which is very sad because the Sabres are going to lose and it's going to rip our collective hearts out. But like, DFS wise, I think, well, I mean, I don't know. How can you not watch them blow the second multi-goal lead where the goalie gets pulled, this time due to injury, to Colorado within a span of a month? Like, I mean, just how can you watch that and not feel sorry? It's like watching, like an oil spill or something and imagining, the ducks like washing up on shore of oil on there. Like, it's just sad. Anyway, Buffalo is incredibly reasonably priced beyond Tage Thompson, who isn't really, he's not taging at the moment. It could change. No. But I think getting the values and then just making it with Dahlin makes a ton of sense. I mean, Jack Quinn just refuses to get priced up. He's been maybe their best forward. You could argue him and Zucker. But Tuck, Cooley, Quinn, I like that. But yeah, I really like Rasmus Dahlin. Don't really have interest in Benson, Krebs, Peterka, but JJ obviously has pretty solid rates and whatnot for the price. But yeah, Zucker, Thompson, Zucker, Tage, and Cousins is their new top line, so just keep that in mind. I believe DraftKings has that accounted for, but they are sort of 2 centers playing together with Zucker. So yeah, any thoughts on Buffalo? Looking at the Bucks or whatever.
They make me sad. They make me angry. I cry every single night. I honestly, like, there's some times like no matter what happens, I'm not betting on a Sabres player tonight. Like, I just can't add to how mad they make me any more than I already have. If I was going to, it's just Dahlin for a point. Like, I don't think you need to overthink it. And like, or Zucker, I think either or. No one is shooting on this team. No one is standing out from a shot volume perspective at all. Like, they aren't shooting. There's no other way to put it.
And the Sabres are on the road in Vegas in the midst of a road trip. Vegas isn't even a -200 favorite. Yeah, they're -198, so it's close. But like, the Sabres team is not as bad as their record. And that's just sort of like the very obvious thing is obvious because, like, look at how they're losing games. Like, bad teams don't lose games that they're leading, by 5 goals every single night somehow.
Normally. You try to avoid that.
Normally.
I mean, Zucker or Dahlin for a point if you're betting on a Sabre.
Right.
Sure. I mean,
Vegas
plus money still. He's been good. Vegas. Vegas exists to make me angry. That's what they do for a living as well.
Pearson replaces Olofsson on the top line. Olofsson keeps his power play 1 job. I don't know. Like, pricing wise, I think the second line is kind of interesting because Kolasar moves off and Dorofeev on, and that line's going to run you 14.3K. Carlson and Hurdle have been awesome, and Dorofeev has been buried in the bottom 6. So like, you can't really blame him for these poor expected fantasy point outputs. But the actuals have not been there for Hurdle and Carlson. They've been together for most of this 10-game stretch. So it's, is it a matter of chemistry? Is it a matter of, whatever? I'm not sure, but it's at least something I would take a crack at if I wanted, something in this, 14K range. I think I mentioned Utah earlier. I think I would prefer that personally, but certainly an option if you want to get Stu Hurdle in the top power play. But DJ, your revenge narrative of the night, Jack Eichel against the Buffalo Sabres. What is his 97-point prop? Is that listed?
It's not listed currently. Hopefully they get that market cooking.
Okay.
I mean, Victor Olofsson revenge narrative, and they move him down to the 3rd line because they're absolute cowards. I hope Bruce Cassidy knows that I am mad at him because
the only time he shoots.
I mean, he is plus 135 for 3 shots on goal on DraftKings. I honestly might give that a couple looks. I might at least gander at it and then not bet it because I'm a coward. And then he'll have 5 shots in the first period. Jack Eichel for shots, I think, is also fine for him to get 4. Like, revenge narrative aside, he's shooting. His line mates only make it seem like he should be shooting more. And
let's see. I think he's been shooting more of late, so let's just pull him up real quick because we're already over. Sorry, Cliffy, love you. I'll check you. I'll check on you later. No, he's okay. I mean, 3.4 last 5 versus a 2.9 season average. Whatever.
Yeah. What about Olofsson? Pull up Olofsson. I just want to see it. I just want to look at it.
Oh my God, Max Payne.
Just to make
Max Payne.
Always and forever. He cost me many a dollar.
Oh yeah, look at that. Look at that. 0.
That's not Olofsson. The picture is Enstrom, but that's fine. I mean, technically almost on the money for what it should be. So the sports books got that right. I honestly don't know if there's actually a good bet in this game. Like, I don't know if there's something that like truly uber stands out. I was looking at William Karlsson for shots a lot. It's still plus money, over 2.5. I think you could give that at least a look. What was the power play again? It was Eichel, Stone, Theodore.
It's the normal power play. Hurdle and Olofsson finishing that off.
Yeah, Hurdle for a point could be minorly intriguing.
Yeah. I think Tuck shots also just capping off the revenge tour. He's been bad, but again, I like that line.
Fucking bad. I know.
Like, if you like that line and you actually look at, in aggregate, like Jack Quinn, I don't think he's going to do it all himself.
It's a bad strategy.
Tuck is plus 130 for
140. 140 if you scroll down to the,
actually,
away from the.
Okay, my God, Jack Quinn is plus 200. I forgot about that. They're just mispricing Jack Quinn because they hate us and they want us to lose all of our money betting on Jack Quinn and Yuri Kulik or whatever. So never mind. Screw Tuck. It's just these cheap guys in Buffalo. They're the plays. Just play them.
If I post my bet and Jack Quinn for 3 shots plus 200s in it, I want someone to come and beat me with a baseball bat. It might happen.
Oh my God, come on, dude. You just got to take value where it lies.
What the fuck? I mean, just 2 in a parlay, 3 if you actually have Stones.
Look at this.
Oh,
look at this shit.
Fuck. All right, I'm gonna bet it, but I might not parlay it. Like plus 200 for Jack Quinn to have 3 shots.
Oh
I hate it here. Oh my God,
this is so fun. I'm having such a fun time.
Makes me.
Yeah. All right.
What is he actually doing? My guess is not much because no one on the Sabres is doing much. Hence why they fucking suck. I hate that team. I hate this team. Every time I think about them, I get more upset. Like,
I gotta say, I did feel something watching them lose to Colorado, but it's not the reason you think. It's because I was so fucking salty about everyone bitching about the injury to Wedgwood when Parker Kelly tackles Benson onto the goalie. Like, just don't push guys into your goalie and they won't get hurt. Like, hockey is full of the dumbest people just doing the dumbest things always. And then that happens, and the coach is crying. Every fan on Twitter is like, oh my God, like Jack Benson should be shot. Like, how is that a good goal? And it's like, they never blow the whistle for that if there's an imminent scoring chance. Like, it happens every single time. And of course, after that, they cry about it. They challenge it. The Sabres don't score on the ensuing power play. They lose the game. So it's all fine. Everything's fine. I was just so salty about it. And I did feel something because I'm like, yep, this sucks. This is the absolute low of my Sabres fandom. So anyway, that is how my Thursday night went.
Well, it can only get worse from here. We got 1 game left.
All right. Yep. One more game, Edmonton and Seattle. The matchup, Edmonton on the road on a back-to-back, but those look pretty solid because this Seattle team stinks. They're giving up lots of goals, they're giving up lots of shots, and they're giving up lots of expected goals. Not a good combination when you are facing the Leon Draisaitl-led Edmonton Oilers, and that is right. This is Leon Draisaitl's team now. Connor McDavid, you had a fun run, but Leon Draisaitl is this year's. He's the MVP. Hands down, this team runs on Leon Draisaitl right now and has been for most of the season.
I was a little bit surprised to see both of them priced exactly the same for shots at over 2.5 minus 135. I kind of like both, but I guess I lean Draisaitl. I was sort of like,
I think you have to.
I think you have to, and I was like, I mean, so yeah, I think Draisaitl for 3 shots is probably where I end up I don't know if there's a ton here. But again, like to all of your points you're making right now, I do think like without a shadow of a doubt, if you are, I'm going to pay this amount for Colorado, like just play McDavid, Draisaitl, Bouchard. Okay, your lineup's done. You're welcome. Congratulations. Like
I have a better solution. Just play Draisaitl, Arvidsson, Bouchard, and don't even play Bouchard. Screw it. I do not care about every Bouchard anymore. Again, Connor McDavid is broken. He's not the player that we think of him as right now. Something there's a miss. Because Leon Draisaitl should not be this impactful on every single player on the Edmonton Oilers, but he is. He's been that good. So like, yeah, just I don't know, like Bouchard at home, they just spend too much time in McDavid's orbit. For 7,100, if you were 6K, then I would be far more interested. But Bouchard is, I'm far more interested in using that money elsewhere, basically. But yeah, Draisaitl, Arvidsson, Podkolzin, even just Draisaitl, Arvidsson, like that full line is less than 15K. They've been legitimately dynamic together. Podkolzin, Arvidsson, no power play time, but like who cares if it's not the top power play? And Arvidsson just continues to produce. So yeah, I'm in on Draisaitl. He's sold me, and I'm ready for him to absolutely fall off a cliff for the next few months.
All right. Yeah, if you're not playing Seattle, you're not betting Seattle. You're probably good on this front, right?
That is very much correct. The only player I would consider is Vince Dunn because he is actively very, very good. Since he returned from injury, he's been actively very, very good. But I guess that would just be like a point prop thing versus anything. I don't know. 3 shots plus 185. Vince Dunn. All right, let's do that. Let's say that is your Seattle bet if you want one.
It's an option. Okay. Let's do guaranteed goals. I mean, we could do top stacks, I guess, too, if you want, and let's go home. We're already home. I'm in my house right now.
We can just do guaranteed goals.
Guaranteed goals, you say. Are we? We're leaving New Jersey out of the equation, or
yeah. We can just do the main slate.
Main slate, guaranteed.
You know what? Actually, screw it, DJ. Top stack. Just give me your top stack. That's all. DFS, top stack, and then we'll do guaranteed goals because why change it up?
I think I've fully convinced myself of stacking Edmonton. I think McDavid, Draisaitl, Arvidsson, that would be the way I'm actually going to do it. I'm actually going to make a lineup that has those 3 in it and see how that looks. Like, I'm not saying they're going to get 0 ownership, but everybody is going to stack Colorado. So.
All right.
And if they're not, they're going to be stacking Nashville. And if they're like, it's like, and Vegas is going to get ownership. Like Eichel is going to get ownership. And it's like, and yeah. So
I will take Carolina. I'll go Aho, Jarvis, and HS.
I really, really like that too. And that's exactly how I would do it. Those are 2 fantastic, delicious, nutritious stacks. Guaranteed goals.
I just also wanted to shout out LA too, especially if Brandt Clark gets that, boost 12-6, whatever setup. Laferriere, Fiala, and Brandt Clark is a 3-man stack that will be genuinely 2% owned, and I think has a ton of explosive upside here, regardless of game state. If Tampa's out crushing early, I think LA turns this into a shootout, and I think if LA, constricts Tampa, then I actually think that Fiala, Laferriere can still sort of get there even in that sort of a game environment. So I like that one a good amount as well.
I'm happy you feel that way. That's great. I think I'm going to go high-low. I don't have the prices up in front of me. So I'm going to go with someone that's a bit longer odds and someone that's a bit shorter odds. And I'm going to start with Matt Coronado. That was a really good shout. I just kept looking up more of Matt Coronado as of late. Last 5 games, 6.4 shot attempts per game. And you might be thinking, well, he's shooting, but 0.52 individual expected goals per game on average in that run as well. Plus 320 for a guy that we're saying, like, we like it better than a coin flip to get 3 shots. They're dangerous shots. The line's been very good in general. Like, I just don't know if this price is any good. I actually think it's a bad price. And thus, attackable and exploitable. I hope me continuing to vamp about nothing is giving you time to
Yeah.
consider your bet.
Do you have your second one? Because I don't want to steal your. Because I'm in the
No,
same.
no. I want you to go.
All right. I want. I want Jordan Kyrou. 6,200. Yes, the power play, kind of sucks, but like it's against it's against Columbus. I think Columbus sucks. Dylan Holloway's awesome. So yeah, give me Jordan Kyrou.
The good old Jordan Kyrou. Okay, let me take a peek. All right. 1, 2, 3. No. I don't really know because I'm not looking at DraftKings prices right now where I'm at exactly.
I
You
don't care. About that.
I don't care either. Give me. What is that? Let's just take a peek at this. See, I want to be. I don't want to be a coward all my life, but I kind of want to just. Oh God, never mind. Kyle Connor's plus 105. Do you have your other guy? Tell me your other guy.
Yeah. Nick Schmaltz, Utah. I like this game. I like the Dallas side quite a bit as well, but I think that top line in Utah, with the power play and whatnot, I'll be keeping a close eye on Utah's illness situation as we head into the Saturday main slate.
Yeah, Gunther plus 230, Robertson plus 200. I like a lot of those, honestly. Those are all.
Yeah.
I like that. Honestly, I you know what? Let's just do Jason Robertson. I mean, like, who cares? Same game parlay, but this is like our favorite game, and all of these prices are great. You might even be able to get a boost on that on FanDuel. I'm gonna take I don't know. I'll look in post. I think we have a same game parlay boost, and if you do 2 goals in the same game, you get like 30% boost on top of it all, and that could be a lot of fun. So yeah, I think that's really good.
That is all we have for you. Make sure you head on over to the Stochastic Show. I'm sure most of you guys, already know about them, but they do a great job breaking down most NHL DFS slates, Thursdays, Tuesdays, and Saturdays, and some other days too. So I don't know, DJ, is there a way to set up an auto direct or whatever for people who are?
I don't think you can at our current level, but let me look.
That makes sense. All right. That doesn't really matter because there's only a handful of people here, but I thought that would be nice to do, especially because we were like, oh, we're gonna be done it too, and lo and behold, it's
we're close.
Yeah,
I don't know. Honestly, I don't even know how to do it. If I could do it, might be my biggest problem.
That is, I think that I don't know either. The final thing I wanted to know from you, is that thing live in New York yet? That Sportsbook Plus thing?
I haven't seen anything about it. I tried to look into it more. It's coming. I just don't think it's there yet.
I wasn't sure, but I want to be first on that because I think it is the funniest thing alive. If you're one of the only content creators because you're in New York that can actually look at it and we can do some fun stuff with it. I think so.
Okay, this is the link if you want to go over there.
All right.
To the other guys, and yeah, we will look into that, but it's not there yet. I don't see it at least.
Alrighty, thank you all for hanging out. We will be back on a more normal schedule for the next few months as we wrap up the regular season. So the holidays, are always full of travel and odd schedules and whatnot. But now, back in the swing of things, we should be good to go for most, if not all, Tuesdays and Thursdays from here on out. So we will talk to you on Monday night, Tuesday morning, whenever you listen to us. DJ, feel free to close us down.
Okay, bye everyone.